Good afternoon, my News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update. And in the news this afternoon, body of farmer found in water tank in St. Anne. The Key Valley Police in St. Anne are investigating a case of suspected drowning after the body of a man was found in a water tank. Dead is 47-year-old farmer Courtney Peart of Fraser's district in Cascade. Reports are that about 1:30 p.m. on Sunday, Peart's body was found in a water tank in his yard in the community. An investigation has been launched to ascertain if there was foul play. Man gunned down in Linstead. The St. Catherine North police are probing the shooting death of a man in Linstead on Saturday night. Gunned down was 36-year-old Chevon Barnes of Hampton Green in Spanish Town. It is reported that Barnes was walking along Gillette Street when he was pounced upon and shot multiple times by unknown assailants. He was assisted to the Linstead Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The police have yet to establish a motive in Barnes' death. JCF warned public against the Christmas cash grant scam. The Jamaica Constabulary Force is alerting the public to a fraudulent message circulating online that claims to offer Christmas cash grant in the name of Prime Minister Andrew Holness. The JCF says that the scam is designed to trick unsuspecting individuals into clicking malicious links and sharing personal or financial information. It says that at this time of year, criminals are more active in their attempts to scam and defraud individuals. These tactics, it notes, often involve phishing, smishing, fraudulent text messages, and other forms of cyber attacks. Members of the public are urged to remain vigilant and cautious when interacting with online messages, links, or offers that seem too good to be true. The JCF is urging the public to report all suspicious or fraudulent activities to the police or their service providers. Blake orders a rethink of deployment of cops. Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake is urging divisional leadership of the Jamaica Constabulary Force to target effective presence in an effort to further reduce the island's crime numbers. Writing in the force orders last week, Blake pointed out that for a violent crime to be committed, there must be someone who is motivated enough to do so, a potential victim, and the opportunity to commit the crime. A significant objective of any operational strategy is the constraining of these opportunities, said Blake. Our deployments, which are based on analysis of crime data and intelligence, are predominantly to do just that. However, even while we deploy to prevent, simply having presence in the space may not be sufficient. We need effective presence, added Blake. He argued that effective presence by the police is that which makes a potential offender think twice before committing a violent crime. It is that which causes his assessment to tell him that there is a high likelihood of being intercepted given your posture. Effective presence, while requiring significant focus, makes our job much easier because it deters crimes that we would normally have had to deal with. If for 1 minute we believe that the criminals do not conduct their own risk assessment, in which we feature predominantly, when deciding whether or when to act, we need to think again. Let our posture be businesslike and our presence always be effective, so we can determine the outcome of their assessment, Blake charged. The police commissioner noted that November was a challenging month for the JCF, with what he described as a number of senseless multiple victim violent incidents and a couple of unusually high spike days. This challenged us only for a brief moment as we collectively wrapped our heads around the variables at play behind this. In doing these types of assessments, it is important that we look internally to see if we need to adjust some strategy or to simply remove any impediments to their successful implementation, added Blake. The week of November 18 to 24 was the bloodiest in the island so far this year, with 44 murders recorded. Among the frightening violent incidents last month was the killing of 6 men in 2 incidents in a gang dispute off Waltham Park Road in St. Andrew, the shooting of 8 people, 3 fatally on Bowens Road in St. Andrew, and the fatal shooting of 2 men in the vicinity of schools in the corporate area and Manchester while classes were in session. Acting DPP highlights hypocrisy in calls for death penalty. Acting Director of Public Prosecutions, Claudette Thompson, has argued that public demands for harsher penalties, such as the death penalty, as clamored for in cases of mass murder, ring hollow when many of those calling for such measures avoid fulfilling their civic duties, including jury service. In an interview with the news last week, she stressed that true justice requires active participation from all members of society, not just the criticism from the sidelines. In making that point, she referenced the case of Rasheen Barnett, who was convicted and sentenced to 5 concurrent life sentences on October 20, 2022 for the murder of 5 of his relatives in Cockapease, Clarendon. The persons calling for an eye for an eye. What is interesting is that these are the same persons who, if the man had not pleaded guilty, we would be begging them to come to court as jurors, and we would have a problem because Clarendon is one of those parishes where they have to be begging the jurors to come, Thompson pointed out. You do not get to talk about the man's neck should have broke, and you are upset because we never hang him when you don't participate in the process, she continued. Thompson emphasized that those accused of serious crimes, including murder, must be treated within the confines of the law. Commenting further on the issue, Thompson noted that persons who are accused of committing multiple murders must be given a fair sentence by the court if they pleaded guilty at the earliest opportunity, regardless of how gruesome their crimes may appear in the public eye. The last such case that was actually before the court and went to completion was that of one in Clarendon, where the lady and her children were killed. We did go for the death penalty, but Barnett pleaded guilty, and once you plead guilty, then your sentence would be reduced, so it was reduced from death to life. But we did serve death penalty notices in that one, and you have to benefit from a guilty plea, said Thompson. Under Section 42D1 of the Criminal Justice Administration Amendment Act of 2015, when a defendant pleads guilty to an offense with which he has been charged, the court may reduce the sentence that would otherwise have been imposed if the defendant had been tried and convicted of the offense. Section 42D2 of the Act says that if the defendant chooses to plead guilty on the first relevant court date, his sentence may be reduced by up to 50%. If a guilty plea is entered after the first relevant court date, but before trial commences, the defendant's sentence may be reduced by up to 35%. According to Section 42E1, where a defendant pleads guilty to the offense of murder, the court may reduce the sentence it would otherwise have imposed if the defendant had been tried and convicted. You're not right when you say them broke them neck, because when they take that kind of responsibility for their actions, admit guilt in court, they must be given credit for it, Thompson noted. The acting DPP also dismissed the proposals for special legislation to apply to death penalty in cases of mass murder, arguing that existing laws are sufficient. On November 27, Justice Minister Delroy Chuck said he would be pushing for legislation for the application of the death penalty in cases of mass murder. He was speaking on the heels of a mass shooting along Waltham Park Road that claims the lives of 5 people 2 days earlier. A 6th person was also killed some 70 meters away around the same time. The island has seen several mass shootings this year, most notably on August 11, when 8 people were shot dead at a bingo party in the Cherry Tree Lane community in Four Paths, Clarendon. The government is prepared and determined to fight back, and that is why, apart from gang legislation, I will soon take to Parliament a motion for those gangs who are killing 2 or more people. The death sentence may well be there for them. We haven't imposed it yet, but it may well be there, Chuck said. And let it go back up to the Privy Council and they get a life sentence. Fine, but we have to start sending the signal that some of these gangsters must be out of the community forever, he added. But Thompson noted that Jamaica's legal framework already allows for the application of the death penalty in cases deemed the worst of the worst. For the law as it is now, we serve a death penalty notice when we think the case is appropriate, but we are following the law. The law really now says you can apply for the death penalty, but in specific types of cases, and my understanding is that whatever the case is, you treat with it on an individual basis, and you must be able to establish that this is one of the worst, the acting DPP told the news. When it comes to murder and rape and so on, I am not sure we are short on laws, and there is legislation that addresses repeat offenders. Mass murder is not known to law because there is no such thing in law as a mass murder. What you are really talking about are multiple victim murders, said Thompson. Her declaration falls in line with the comments made in November by defense attorneys Clyde Williams and Bert Samuels, who both argued that provisions are already in place to punish persons who are convicted of murder. Guys, thank you for watching. See you this evening at 6 p.m. for another news update.